Radio Free Skaro.
Hello everyone, welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 776. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in 2021.
Happy New Year, everybody. 2021, right?
Goodbye,
we did
2020.
It.
Goodbye.
Yes, I may have yelled F-U 2020
I did
out
too,
the window on the
Yep.
balcony shortly after
Yep.
midnight last night. Yeah, it was
Absolutely same thing, yes.
Disruptive influences the both of you.
kind of a cathartic experience, actually. I quite enjoyed New Year's in that regard. It was just nice because there's just a bunch of like frustrated people standing on their balconies in downtown Edmonton, people firing off fireworks in various locations, and just basically swearing at the year that we just went through. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. So I'm
Quote
glad that
Wall
happened.
Street. We sure went down the toilet in that ugly bee.
Yes, everyone's. I watched Wall Street for the first time this calendar year. Actually, Warren, it's funny you mentioned
What'd you
that. It was very 1980s.
It's definitely that. That makes no bones about it.
Yeah.
Don't watch Wall Street 2.
No,
I don't.
Wall Street 2 is not good. In fact,
No.
anything past U-Turn that Oliver Stone has done, which is 1990-something, is not good.
You're going that far back, hey?
Wow.
Yep.
Yo, wait a
Savages
minute.
is garbage.
I
Alexander
just-
has potential and is not good.
JFK came out in
Isn't that 11
91.
film I
That's
didn't care for.
I don't look. I watched like the first 20 minutes of that Netflix series he did about uncovering the real truth about everything. It's just
Yeah,
no,
it was nonsense.
we're not doing this.
It was like listening to some Twitter feed that I don't care about.
Yeah, like some weird conspiracy stuff, or 2020. Anyway, it's a new year, everyone. It's a new year. We have just watched an episode of Doctor Who for the first time during a pandemic in these parts, and let's hope for the last time we have to watch an episode during a pandemic in these parts.
Yeah, first episode in 10 months, and somehow 10 months was factored into the episode.
I know. I do like that for us, or for the the fam. It was 10 months, and for the Doctor, it was 79 years. And oddly enough, for us, those living in 2020, it was both. It was both 10 months and 79 years that it took to get through all that. So, yeah, it felt weird. It felt weird in a way that, oh, right, we have a new Doctor Who episode to watch and talk about. And, there was a weird sense of, normality at that point, thinking, I guess we do this. This is what we do normally as we watch Doctor Who. Because, of course, 2020 was, hey, here's this great series of Doctor Who, which I really enjoyed. And then it ended. And then all of a sudden, by the way, everyone stock up on toilet paper. It was just like that. It flipped a switch.
I had to remind myself multiple times to, not go on social media and whatnot today, because I'm just not used to having new Who to watch.
The Cone of Silence, right? I know it was. Well, I have to admit, I've kind of been in that frame of mind for the past few weeks, because The Mandalorian dropped when it was airing at 1 a.m. Pacific or something like that. So some people would stay up late and watch just as it drops on the Disney network. Yeah, I said Disney Network to troll it.
The Disney Netflix, yeah.
Disney Netflix, and then so all through the course of Friday, I'd be, I don't want to see anything about those Baby Yoda guy and stuff, and so I was already in that kind of mode. But
and I have Expanse and soon WandaVision to worry about. So basically, it's going to keep me off social media. So thank you, television programs, for keeping me off social media.
yeah, we are of course talking about the revolution of the Daleks, not revelation, not resolution, revolution. So apologies now if we mess up at some point and call it by any of those other titles. I will also point out that we're recording this rather on Friday night in our world. So sadly, we're going to have to postpone our stats segment until next
what a
week.
quel tragic dommage.
I know, but we can always guess what the overnights will be, if that's a game you want to play, or if not, that's also
No, it's not a game I want to play at all.
That's too bad.
We often play it. I want to
too
say
bad.
around 4.5 to 5 million.
I was probably going to aim that to, honestly, I was going to say 3.7, which sounds awful, but given that it's called the midwife, as we said last week, got like 5.4, and that was tops for the day, and that was Christmas Day, and this is New Year's Day. Yeah.
And New Year's Day is not the TV day that Christmas Day is.
I'm going to say 5,
was.
just for the hell of it.
All right.
I'll stick with 4. I'll stick with 4.5. I'll go with my
4.5.
initial
Wow.
number.
So like I'm the pessimist here. I'm happy to be wrong, but we
Can you
shall
imagine
see.
if it was like 30 million?
That would be unprecedented. That would be
And
like
unlikely.
David Jason Only Fools and Horses Christmas special level of unprecedentedness, basically, if that was the case. 30 million people. Revolution of the Daleks. Yes, the Daleks return. Chris Noth returns. Captain Jack returns. Graham and Ryan depart. And then
Grace returns.
Grace returns
Ish.
ever so briefly as a vision, and then at the very end,
Kinda.
a new addition to the TARDIS cast and crew for Series 13. Well, we'll get to that later. First off, I want to get both of your initial impressions, starting with you, Warren. I'm going to say just for
I
fun.
think overriding impression was fun.
Good.
It starts a little bit heavy because she's in prison. Although even there, it's great because she's calling the angel Angela, and there's a pating that she's sassing off. And I can't remember who the other prison fan
There was
service
a Sycorax and there was
That's what it
an
was,
Ood.
yes.
There's an
And then
Ood.
later
It
on,
was the two
Silence.
Oods. And I actually felt kind of sorry for those Oods.
Yeah, Silence. What else? Oh, God, I was gonna to watch there, like freeze frame it because there's a big wide shot and you could see a whole bunch of them
The one
there.
thing that looked like a furry Christmas tree or something. in the
Right?
back corner.
Yeah, there's like a big furry thing. I thought it was like a Muppet.
big sort of Dr. Seuss looking thing.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. So I'm gonna have to freeze frame through that at some point. But
I think, honestly, my favorite part of the whole thing might be, and this is weird, that Chris Noth doesn't have an arc at all. He's just an even bigger jerk than he was in the first one. He just triples down on being a bastard. And I was like really entertained by that for some reason.
I agree. You kind of feel like, okay, he's still evil, and cause, like he's even more evil. Let's face it, than he was in as Spider Guy, as Yaz calls him.
He's kind of hapless there, whereas here he's like trying to scheme with the Daleks.
Yeah, and then you think, okay, once he sees that the Dalek creature's there, so this is the redemption arc. He'll sort of turn around and help the Doctor and stuff. But no, sells her out. Sells her out. Somehow claims victory and is getting interviewed by Emily Maitlis on Newsnight.
Even toward the end there, when the Doctor confronts him, he's like, "Yeah, I was there as a it was a fake out."
Yeah.
And what's she gonna do? Disprove him? No, she can't.
No. So we'll probably see him. Yeah. Anything else, Warren? Initial impressions? Is that fun?
I like
Chris
the
Noth?
reason the Daleks are there makes sense. Which
Really
because
did.
when I saw him at first, I'm like, are they just going to make these the new look of the Daleks? And that's fine. It's kind of a cool design, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this does actually make a lot of sense because they've got this thing lying around and they create these new ones, and it all goes horribly wrong, as we all know it would. Also, calling in the nuclear option, quote unquote, was pretty nice because I'm like, okay, good. They've got the proper Daleks here to mop things up and take care of business. I turned to Jenny and said, it looks like John Barrowman's become a better actor in the last 10 years because he actually did do some okay acting in this. Whereas before, you watched him because he was fun, but not because he's a good actor.
Wow.
That's 10 years ago, mind you.
I've been made aware of some criticism of Jack and specifically Chibnall's writing of Jack, and he can't write Jack. And like that was as Jack can get.
Yeah.
It was Jackety Jack. I didn't see any. And plus, he wrote a bunch of Torchwood, so what are they talking about?
This is exactly.
Yeah.
This is Chris Chibnall's greatest hits. Essentially, this episode, like we're diving back into arachnids.
It goes broader than that, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff that are basically in the Chibnall verse resolution. Chris Noth, Captain Jack. Yeah, like this is pretty much his wheelhouse is what he's writing for.
As
here.
that went, it was fun. Like I've only watched it once, but I had a good time watching it. So
Yeah, I did too.
At the whole, I like the fake out with the TARDIS because I didn't think of that, although I should have. Although I'm thinking to myself, you know what? A bunch of Daleks being thrown into the void inside a TARDIS. That's not going to end well. Several stories down the road, I'm sure.
Well, perhaps. Well, let's park the rest of your thoughts. I just wanted the initial impressions. I don't want to spoil everything because I want to hear from Chris what your overall thoughts of the special was.
Well, sure. Just to get it out of the way, I totally called that it was a fake out TARDIS. Totally got that.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. It wasn't me.
It seems so obvious.
Yeah.
No, on the whole, fun works, I guess.
Yeah.
It's it's nice to sit on the couch and turn the TV on, and there's new Doctor Who there.
Mm-hmm.
The tone was good. I mean, Chris Noth. There wasn't a piece of scenery that survived him chewing,
which was beautiful, actually.
Yeah, I kind of like that, actually. Yeah,
yeah. The when the what's her character's name, the secretary or the whatever of technology, once she got to be prime minister and she was in front of number 10, just her speech, just all I could basically overdub it with Brexit, and have the same effect. So that was fun as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no objection to the new look of the Daleks, because I mean they get rejiggered every now and again. It happens.
Yeah, I just don't want them to be all the Daleks.
Yeah, as Warren said, having the traditional, at least new series Daleks come in was it's good to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Jack was Jackety Jack as was said.
Yep.
And love the fam, and so definite thumbs up on the whole for sure.
Me too. I liked it. It was as I was watching it was remarkable that it was made in late 2018 for one, just because there were elements of it, or late 2019 rather. There were elements of it the riots and the police control Daleks, which I'm thinking what happened with George Floyd and stuff in the summer of 2020. The fact that a black man is sort of the man spearheading the tech side of this, just wow, that was, if they made this when later on, after 2020 happened, I would look askance at it going, what the hell were you thinking? But the fact that it kind of not predicted as such, but really felt current for something that was shot over a year ago, was kind of alarming and terrifying.
I was half keeping an eye open to see what was picked up during the 2020 shooting last month or November. I couldn't. Couldn't guess.
I'll tell you what it was. It was the thing that aired after the credits. That was your 2020 thing.
Oh, was it?
That was your 2020 thing.
Not actual content within the episode.
No, I think it was Chris Chibnall's way of sort of saying that. But yeah, we inserted one new thing, and that was it. Yeah, because believe me, I was also looking, going, what is it? Is it this? Is it that? What about this?
I wasn't looking overly intently because I wanted to watch and enjoy the darn thing. But
yeah, I know. But my brain goes that way. If
I always thought the audio dub of Jack talking to her through the TARDIS was maybe something they did for 2020 just to patch things over.
Okay, yeah, you know what? I was going to mention that at some point later on, but let's talk about literally the ending of the thing now, because there's no goodbye scene with Jack at all.
He's just gone.
It all happens in a phone call, and also a phone call that's ADR'd. No one is speaking to anyone. You don't see the Doctor saying her end of the conversation. It's all just sort of shots of the TARDIS. Then we linger on Yaz, sort of looking like she's listening in. So clearly they have found some footage in the editing room to patch together and then put a voiceover on top to explain why Jack isn't there and why we never said goodbye to him. And
maybe there was a goodbye scene that just didn't feel right or something, and this was a replacement.
That's the thing. I'm wondering, so was there a goodbye scene that perhaps didn't feel like it fit the tone of the episode? Was there perhaps the goodbye scene maybe thought maybe it's a little too final, and maybe they're planning on bringing back Captain Jack in series 13 and we don't want to allude to that much, or perhaps something like that. Did they not shoot it? That's also a possibility. Because
we have the goodbye scene for Ryan and Graham, did a Jack goodbye scene just feel like it was too much?
That too. Was there a risk of like going all Journey's End on this and having, companion leave after companion leave and just sort of losing impact eventually? So there's a whole bunch of questions I had when it came to that. I thought, this is very odd. Maybe that was the 2020 scene. Maybe that was literally John Barrowman on his
2020 scene.
On his phone in California, phoning in his bits there because he's on the phone in the scene, and maybe that is what it is too. I don't know. It just felt very odd given that they sort of built it up a lot and then just sort of says, yeah, I'm actually still just going to be back on Earth here talking to Gwen. She killed a Dalek with a boxing glove and a baby and a modem, a moped rather. I'm
here for the modem though. Tell me this story.
Yeah, megabyte modem.
Big
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah. So I did think that was kind of odd, but no, it was great seeing Captain Jack back. It's, he was Jack. He was totally Jackety Jack. I liked when I liked the way he sort of infiltrated the prison, being stuck there for 19
Stayed there for 20 years or something.
Yeah. Just until he could get into the cell next to the doctor
How
and
long
stuff.
was the doctor there? Was she there multiple decades?
79 years.
Yep.
79 years is where she was. Yeah. Which is intriguing, just because I would think that at some point she would have tried an escape or two, but at this point, 79 years in, she seemed quite resigned to her fate.
Yeah, I loved the mundanity and the repetition of like her day.
Yeah,
Like
Saying hello to the cameras.
get up and
nice.
eating bad food and going to the common area or whatever it was and doing the exercise, and it's just like this is life now.
Yeah,
and it's just she's just like, I'll get through this. It's just
And it wasn't
really
Shada,
dull.
or was it?
no, it wasn't
They
Shada.
didn't say either way.
It could have been Shada. You could have filled in the gaps. It was
In
Shada.
my mind, it's Shada.
Yeah, it's shaped like Shada. Why
Just
not?
off camera, a ridiculous costume is being worn.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I like that. I liked, I like Chris Noth. I like the Daleks. As I said, like I could totally see a politician think we need more police control instead of using police officers, but not massive giant tanks. We could get little mini tanks that spray water cannons at people to disperse, that spray gas to disperse people, that do the sound thing. Like all these are like awful techniques.
But not the real gas, although that would have been fun. as Noth kind of alludes to.
Yeah, I know.
Robertson.
Although, as usual, the UK has a bad case of the amnesias because, like, how many times have they been invaded by the Daleks? At least twice up to this point in present time. And to the point where... Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say the crack, obliterated everything pre-Smith, so...
Yeah, and maybe stuff afterwards too. Maybe we forget everything. Maybe we forget the fact that how many prime ministers have died on Doctor Who's watch now? At least
Sounds like
3?
a whole big old drink of hand wave, but sure, that's what the show's all about. So.
At least 3, from Aliens of London to Last of the Time Lords to this.
True.
Harriet Jones, Flydale North. I mean, she was a disgraced MP when she got shot at Journey's End, or Stolen Earth. But still, you know, there's been a lot of downfalls.
There are a couple Dalek lines that are cringeworthy, but nothing will be as cringeworthy as "Yes, we know who you are" by the Daleks.
in said episode. Anything for a joke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I greatly enjoyed this. I'm trying to think about the various aspects. I'll tell you one thing that I really liked is this. I mean, Erica and I appeared on the Incomparable Flashcast earlier today with a couple of thoughts. There was a bunch of people, including Chip and Annette and other people who to talk about the episode. But one thing she said, and that we both agreed when we watched it, is this is possibly my favorite companion leaving in
I would agree with that. Yes.
Ryan and Graham, because a universe isn't split apart. They don't have their memory wiped. They don't die or anything like that. They just say, you know what, I need to stay behind and look after Earth, and just like, this is my home. I need to be here. And Graham, I was sort of thinking that Graham would also just sort of go, but he stays because he wants to be with his grandson. And that's a perfectly reasonable explanation and reason for them to do it too. And I just thought that's almost more tragic, because it's like, hey, we had fun traveling with you, Doctor, but now we're choosing to leave you, as opposed to we're being forced to leave you. And that's almost like it makes it almost even sadder for the Doctor when that happens.
And yeah, this is one of the things I was going to raise later, but I'll kind of bring it up now. I really enjoyed the heart-to-heart that Jack and Yaz had about traveling with the Doctor.
Yes.
And I think, obviously it was by design that it was just the two of them having that conversation. But had Graham and or Ryan been part of that conversation as well, I think them leaving in the way they left wouldn't have felt as genuine as it did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Amy and Rory is still my favorite departure, especially in the new series. But this one felt okay.
It felt natural, I think.
Yeah, it felt reasonable. And the other ones, as good or bad or emotional as they might be, aren't as reasonable or as believable, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the book ending that was done with Ryan and Graham and the bike up on the ridge.
That was nice too. Yeah,
that felt really good, and of course they both seem to see Grace, and neither will admit it to the other. But Grace obviously was there in The Woman Who Fell to Earth as part of that whole thing. So it's as cheesy as it seemed to have just Grace appear out of nowhere for no good reason. It kind of felt okay because again she was there at the outset, start of series 11.
Yeah. I like that. Graham sort of asks, "Are you okay?" to sort of deflect the fact that he thinks he saw Grace there, and then Ryan knows that too. Son of my eyes, and the sun's clearly behind him, which I thought was a great little nod to say.
And Graham's like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And you get, I love that they get the psychic paper at the end as well. And they,
why didn't Yaz get one? Come on.
Well, because
she's still with the Doctor.
She's still with the Doctor.
Doesn't mean she can't get her own.
It's a parting gift. Maybe she got one afterwards. This is their party. This is their going away party. It's not like, okay, everyone gets a going away present for Ryan and Graham's going away party. I tell you, as the goodbyes were happening, because I kind of thought that the series is building to this, that they would just sort of stay back on Earth at the end of this and not really vanish off into a distant galaxy or anything. And so I was kind of expecting the goodbyes that happened, but it was that bye fam bit that got me, because they were just going to leave, and then the Doctor stops and they do this weird the group hug thing, and then we have that
the football huddle.
The huddle. We'd have that shot from underneath, and it's bye fam, and I thought, wow, that's like for 2 years this has been the team. And it's one thing for one companion to leave and then to be replaced by another one. That's happened a lot. But to sort of have a 4-person team split in half, it just feels like more substantial. It's like when Ian and Barbara left for the first time. Yeah. It's rare that we've had multiple companion departures in the same episode, but we had it here. Yeah. What else we got here?
Have we talked about the Dr. Ryan discussion? Because that's...
No, I honestly think I mean, as much as I enjoyed this and how fun it was, I think, Chris, you brought up the first sort of heart-to-heart talk between Jack and Yaz, which I think we could talk about still, and the Dr. Ryan one, and even the Dr. Jack one as well. It was a good one too. Yeah, but go on, Warren. You want to talk about the Ryan conversation? I just
thought it was one of the highlights of the whole show, just because they're just sitting down and talking to one another, and it was interesting because this is another example of where Jodie is the Doctor who actually listens to you, as opposed to, the other doctors would listen, but you get the feeling they're kind of listening and doing 10 other things in their head at once, and she doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And the flip side to that is she'll listen, but she won't speak. She won't talk about how she's feeling and what she's experiencing. And I think
what we're grasping for here, as I'm as guilty of this as anyone else, is being a male. She's not being a male.
Well, yeah.
I liked how in separate instances and for separate reasons, both Ryan and Yaz called her out on her BS about not opening up, which was kind of nice to see. Like, we've told you everything. Give us a little something, because I'm sure we talked about during series 12 how there was a lot of stuff that was going on, and the Doctor just wouldn't even open up, and the fam was like, we don't barely know who you are, or whatever it was, and all that kind of stuff. And now they're saying, okay, enough is enough. Talk, open your mouth, say something.
Yeah, Ryan giving, basically look after yourself, like, do this for you is essentially what he says there. Like, find out who you are and make yourself happy by finding out how this. Because, I like the fact that she's reflected on for the past 80 years almost about the events of the Timeless Children. And she's sort of still trying to kind of, dealing with it, but also kind of running away from it. It's Ryan that sort of snaps her back into place and says, no, like, deal with this. This is a thing you have to deal with, and then you'll be better. And he's right, But yeah, going back to that Jack and Yaz one, I think that was probably my favorite, just because it reminded me a little bit of the Martha Jack conversation in Sound of Drums.
Yeah.
Which, said that was a big remarkable moment back then, because it's like, Martha's all like, gooey eyed at the doctor, and she goes, oh, you ever talk to him? Like, and he sort of doesn't think you're there. And he goes, you too, eh? It's like, wow, that's a big admission from Captain Jack. And you get the sense that Captain Jack, this is me going all Thasman here on you.
I was waiting for this.
He picks up what she's putting down.
He definitely does. I think, like, he senses there, but he's an older Jack now. He has had work done, as the doctor tells him when they first meet, which I thought was kind of a neat way to explain the fact that John Barrowman has aged 10 years since we last saw him properly on Doctor Who. And I liked that he had the experience now of sort of like, the years and being able to reflect himself about how it was like to travel with the Doctor and have feelings for the Doctor potentially, and giving advice to Yaz. Yeah, that was a very good. And then he like wipes a tear from her cheek, which I thought was, but they barely know each other, and it was mildly invasive, but it was a genuine sign of like, I'm here for you. There's sort of like a, not a parental, but certainly an avuncular kind of relationship there during that scene. It was really nice. It was really nice.
Hey, it wasn't hitting on her, which I was very relieved to see.
I feel
or
like
on the Doctor
even.
even.
Yeah.
He only hit on Graham.
That
was the best. Right. Yeah, just calling him Silver Fox, and Graham's like, cool with it, but a little perturbed.
I'm just gonna step back 1 second here. Yeah, it's good stuff. What else we got? I'm sure we got other stuff here. I know you two have only seen it once, but
most of the time, Daleks talking to other Daleks is at best annoying, and this wasn't, surprisingly.
Yeah, trying to prove how pure each of them were, because let's face it, the new Daleks were, he's the original, you might say, the first reconnaissance Dalek that went out, and like he's basically comes from that. He's a clone of that.
And I like how these guys are like, no, tough.
Nope. We don't care. Yep, exactly.
I did make some notes. I can throw out some talking points if you want.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna start at the start. I kind of did these as I watched, so it's a little stream of consciousness. So
that's fine. Listen, we haven't done this properly in like 9 months and 10 months, and we're already there already. So Chris, have at it. Go stream of conscious. Be free.
Sure. So after series 11 having very little in the way of continuity, it was kind of nice to see a follow-on from Resolution, because I sort of call it part of series 11 if you want. Anyway,
yeah, I think so. I call it that, even though it's not on the Blu-ray, it should be. But yeah,
also not on the series 12 one either.
Yeah.
As we were talking about before recording.
Yeah.
No, it was nice to see a follow-on from Resolution, because sure, New Year's thing, if nothing else, why not? I love the look of the destroyed Dalek, the Resolution Dalek.
Oh yeah,
with the droopy eye stalk and the big gaping hole in the toward the dome and all that kind of. It just looked really great. In an episode of very obviously CG Daleks, it's nice to see what looked like an actual practical prop.
Yeah, that one was kind of nice, isn't it? Kind of reminded me of the way the eye stalk drooped. Reminded me of the same silhouette of the one at the very end of Power of the Daleks, for what it's worth. I don't know if that was a conscious homage or not, but being nerds possibly that make this show, it could be. Yeah.
When the lorry driver guy, it seemed a little convenient that he just stopped at some random tea truck in the middle of seemingly nowhere to get a refill. And that's the bad T-Trek. Like that's the one that's.
I was wondering if that T-Trek was like following him the whole time, waiting and then pulling
I
slightly at him.
I want to say that perhaps because he said let's stop for stop for a cup.
You should. Yeah, I know. That was the second half of what I was going to say. Is as soon as he brings up, is it okay if I stop for a cuppa? Something's going to happen.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, maybe she had a few agents on the road to wherever they were going, and it's like if she stopped, if this big giant truck stops, serve him this tea, and maybe there's like someone else gets the call later on. Okay, we got him. You can go home. That was mine.
Maybe.
Explaining.
Yeah. Maybe there was a series of them, and that's just the one you stopped at or the one we saw. I don't know.
If you're going to make a plan to steal a Dalek, I'm sure you've got to have probably at least one or two backup options, and I think that's probably
so,
yeah. I
Well,
just didn't see that.
Ratcliffe didn't need more than one option.
Ratcliffe, a little remembrance of the Dalek reference there very well.
That's just the last time I can think of that the Dalek husk was stolen.
I suppose so.
At the demonstration role play. When the Dalek is introduced, man, I love the music for that. It's the drum line and the thrumming and just so nice.
There's some good music. We also mentioned this now. The soundtrack is out basically today. If you're listening to this on
Spotify and Deezer, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know about Apple Music at time of recording and stuff. But
what is Deezer? I've never even heard of that.
What is Deezer?
Another music service like Tidal.
Oh, I would assume so. Yeah, but it's
okay.
It sounds like a nickname of some skid.
Yeah,
in 1992.
They only play Weezer songs.
Weezer on
Me and my
Deezer.
bro Deezer went down to I don't know, some really trashy bar.
Yeah. So that's cool. Like that is like that's what the Mandalorian did all of last year. They used to put the soundtrack out like the day after the episode aired, and then this year was one half after the first half and then second half. So I like it now that Doctor Who, after years of like waiting months if not years for the Murray Gold score to come out after a series ran, like now we get them like the next day. It's pretty cool.
You still waiting for series 9 there, Stephen?
Series 10?
Series 10?
Never going to happen. Probably.
Sorry? Yeah.
Probably never going to happen.
Right, because Series 9 was,
It was Heaven Sent.
Heaven Sent had its own disc, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong one.
That's right.
It was nice to see a Pating in the prison, if only as a reminder that, yes, the Saranga conundrum does still exist.
Well, what I liked about that is that this show went to such lengths to sort of separate itself from previous eras to begin with. So then now when you see stuff like the Ood and the Silence and an Angel, it's not as it is fan service, but it doesn't feel as fan servicey as it could.
Mm-hmm. Well, after Series 11, where... Again, minimal continuity, no old monsters, very little in the way of nods to the past overall. Getting this stuff through 12 and Revolution is, I mean, I don't know if it's explicitly necessary, but it's nice to have.
It's nice to have. You could create entirely new aliens for her to talk to during the course of this for 2 or 3 seconds, or... in order to make sure that the viewer knows that these are aliens that she's talking to and fellow prisoners, you could get them talking to Weeping Angels and Ood and Sycorax and stuff. And also, they're in the costume storage, so you just drag them out.
I was going to say, how much time do you want the designers to spend on these new aliens for 2 or 3 seconds that are just throwaway when you can bring out the old classics that they already have the stuff for?
Exactly. And they've been doing this since the Stones of Blood, when we saw that Wirren and there was going to be a whole bunch of other cameos because it was the 15th anniversary of Doctor Who back then. And they were planning on doing other cameos in the hyperspace prison where Romana was trapped.
And the 100th story as well.
And the 100th story, that's right. Back 15 years, back when they celebrated 15 years of Doctor Who. Meanwhile, we're over 15 years of modern Who.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Time, everyone.
I love the return of the lopsided camera angle in Graham's front room as the TARDIS materialized.
Oh, yeah, the little Dutch angle sort of pushes the big hero shot, essentially.
Yeah. It was nice to see that back.
Mm-hmm.
I was enamored with Yaz's devotion to finding the Doctor, like all the, the post-its and whatever all over the second TARDIS at the start of the episode, and then when the TARDIS finally materializes, just the shove that she gives her.
Yeah.
She's like, "I hate you, but I love you."
I saw that and I immediately thought of Steven, and I thought of the
Welcome.
gif of Tom, what's his name, Hardy in Mad Max going, that's bait.
That's bait. Bring it on. Come with me, Team Thasman. You know that. Well, you would have been in your glory at the end of this until we had a new announcement of a new cast member, which we'll get to. But yeah, I definitely sense some Thasman vibes from this episode. Definitely.
When we were watching, the bit came up with Graham, Ryan, and Jack going to the Dalek ship to plant the bombs. I turned to Kat and I said, "Well, boys are gone, so the girls can just have some fun." But it didn't happen that way.
No, didn't quite.
No.
What else was on your list there, Chris? Anything left there?
I've got a few things still.
Oh, all right. Good.
Where am I here? Right. What's new on planet Earth? Dalek. Gasp.
I do like that. I like that they get right to the point. They just say Dalek.
Yeah.
And we all know what it means.
There's no dilly dallying. It's just, yep, let's go. Let's get on the case.
Mm-hmm.
I already talked about the heart between Yaz and Jack. I put yay, the return of the square gun.
Squareness gun.
Squareness gun.
Yeah.
Squareness gun. My bad.
Yeah. And Jack's constant need to be, hey, squareness gun. Pretty cool.
And Yaz calling him out on how much attention he needs.
Yeah.
How much praise he needs.
Yeah. Do I?
Also, definitely nice shot getting the Dalek off her back with the square. Like, how imprecise is that thing going to be?
Right? It's a square. It's a big giant square. Like, the further you shoot that, the more giant square it's going to be. And he still does it.
The only thing that would have
made
made
a good weapon for that reason.
Yeah.
The only thing that would have made that sequence better is if Jack pulled a banana out of his pocket.
Bananas are good. I do like that she commended him on the shot as well. That was nice of her to do that. Yeah.
I really, really liked how, when the doctor realizes that it's been 10 months since she last saw them, how apologetic she is. She's like, oh my God, 10 months, such a long time. So much has happened. Said not once did she kind of counter with, well, I've been in prison. She said I was in space prison. Left that. She never got into I was there for 79 years and 10
you
months,
think you had it tough? I was in space jail for 4 decades.
Never.
Yeah, but she's
never.
A handful of hard decades.
Yeah.
4 score decades.
Yeah, I know. That's what I wanted to say, but I failed. I screwed up the line.
But she never brought that up, which I thought was a touch of class, really. It's because at the end of the day, this show is supposed to be about the companion and all that, and that's what it was here.
It was, yeah.
I love seeing the Daleks just being so badass. Like right after the mutants teleport into the shells, just boom, immediate killing rampage.
They just slaughter people. It's kind of unpleasant.
Dead.
I know, it's kind of sad. I felt bad for them. They just want to go through it. They just want to get on their flight. And there's these awful police kiosks there. And if I was a traveler, I would have disdain for them anyway. And then all of a sudden they light up red and start shooting people. I'm thinking, that was sad. It was tough watching.
Typical.
Yeah. It was tough watching random people getting killed by Daleks, I have to say. When it's troopers, fine. That's what, it's like Ocon says in State of Decay. That's the purpose of cards. Die. But to see random people in London and stuff getting killed by Daleks, I thought this is really sad.
Some police people got shot.
I know, but 2020 has changed me. I think I've seen enough people have bad things happen to them.
They weren't wearing masks. They deserved it.
Exactly. Just enforcing social distancing. Where's the problem here?
Exactly. Distance.
Because the traditional rhetoric is Daleks just chanting exterminate, going down the street, going down the corridor, whatever. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah,
and they're just they're just like it's a battle cry, but no actual battle. And here they're just like, okay, we're here, boom, boom.
The first thing they do, hey, sentience, blam, blam, blam. It's wow. It's kind of terrifying.
No Dalek dialogue is spoken. No rationale is given. It's just pew pew pew.
Yeah.
When we see the SAS, I don't want to keep using this term, but I'll say it here. When we see the SAS Daleks, and they're in that circle in the control room, and the camera just kind of like just waves back and left and right and just goes around in the circle. That I love that. That would look really nice.
Yeah, the whole
That's the most
design.
we've seen of a Dalek ship, isn't it? In a long
More or
time.
less, we had like the control room in Parting of the Ways, and that's basically it. We only had that one control room set. Yeah, we haven't really wandered around corridors of a Dalek
I guess in
ship.
Journey's End or Stolen Earth, there's bits and pieces of some platform,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
but not
yeah.
corridors, proper corridors. You know you're on a ship when you're wandering down corridors, and we had that finally in this episode. Yeah, it's great design. I quite liked it, actually. I want to think that John Barrowman spoiled, because I remember he posted like a couple days ago, he posted a video of the Daleks on set, and I sort of looked at it once and thought, is that from this, or is that from like back in the day when he was on like Parting of the Way? Because I didn't really get a good look at the set, because the normal Daleks were never really included in publicity. It was always about these new security Daleks, and so I think John Barrowman, who was sort of entrusted to be the lead promo person on this, oddly, because he returned, and you didn't really see much of Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill talking it up or anything like that. It was mostly John Barrowman leading the charge of this, and all of a sudden he says, "Yeah, I'm going to spoil the episode for you and take a picture of Daleks." So I think
he got his paycheck. What are they going to do? Fire him?
I suppose.
And
I do
also,
like that.
Don't hire John Barrowman and not expect these kind of shenanigans.
I guess not. Yeah, I guess not. Anyway, Chris, back to your list.
I did enjoy the notion of the Doctor bringing in the one Dalek faction to take out the other Dalek faction because they're impure. Because there's a bit of a nod to the past, kind of remembrance, as well as Victory of the Daleks. I hate being reminded of Victory of the Daleks, but we had that.
Yeah, kind of in a couple of ways, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, because the new paradigm Daleks. Well, the old paradigm Daleks, as it were, once the Genesis, not the Genesis arc, was it the Progenitor?
Yeah.
Did its thing, and the new paradigm Daleks came out. They said, we're not worthy of you, Wayne's World style, and he got blown away.
Yeah.
But of course, like I say, remembrance was kind of comparable in that way as well.
Yeah. Daleks rarely invite their ancestors round to dinner.
Well, that's why they keep sidelining Davros.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Well, I
He's an
half
embarrassment.
expected to see in this, to be honest with you.
I thought so too. Like when it says who's the leader of the Daleks, and this is it's me, this Dalek, this Dalek who has no real differences compared to the rest of the Daleks. You're right, Warren. I was kind of thinking it might be Davros too,
Or the Supreme Red guy with the things on his side.
Yeah, but it was just a slightly deeper talking Dalek of the same ilk, basically. Yeah,
which is fine.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a problem with it.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be anything special. We already have two Dalek factions. We don't need super special Dalek.
And also, if
Exactly.
you're just watching this on New Year's Day, you're like, who the hell is this guy? Like, if
That
you're just
too.
a casual viewer, so that's fair.
Yeah, if you're already like sending Jack off via cell call, you don't need to cram in a different Dalek ruler or Davros in there.
Although I'd like to send Davros off via cell call, too.
Yes. Off-screen ADR dialogue says goodbye to Davros via a cell phone. Davros operating a cell phone. That'd be great.
Well, he'd probably got a Bluetooth piece in his third eye.
Yeah, he'd drop
That's
it
probably it
with his
too.
one hand.
Yeah, one of those old-timey Bluetooth pieces that like stick in your ear and stuff, from 2007. Those
Oh,
ones.
like Rise of the like Army of Ghost style.
Or like every single business person in the mid 2000s. Yeah.
And
or
beyond.
like Jack's ginormous earpiece and
Oh, those things were ridiculous.
The
They all
first
had
episode
them.
of Torchwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing I had that I haven't already talked about is Daleks are not pets of the Doctor. That's fun. I like that. That's fun.
That's pretty cool. I do like the trash talk. I feel like I don't know. Jodie ups her game when it comes to trash talking with Daleks, perhaps more than other doctors do. I think David Tennant was still like raging at them, probably from Time War. The leftover Christopher Eccleston emotion sort of came through him. But Jodie likes to engage in smack talk with him. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think back to Resolution, all the hologram conversation with Lynn and the Dalek and the Doctor, and just all the smack talk there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
I got one other thing. I
it.
did like the homage to Star Wars at the very beginning.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Well, the wink at it, basically.
In Cheltenham.
Yeah. Cheltenham of all places. Where is Cheltenham anyway? Never
England.
been there. Thank you.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
I have no idea. Man.
Very Sheffield-ish.
I say sarcastically, but also well played, Chris. Well played.
Yeah, well played, indeed.
We're not going to look it up, but my first guess would be maybe Yorkshire.
Or Sheffield.
Sheffield-esque.
Yeah, probably there. Yeah.
Sheffield's in Yorkshire, Stephen.
What happened to the people from the Timeless Children, who Graham was sort of getting like friendly with at the end there, and then they went back in time too. So like, what happened to them? Did they sort of
dropped
like
them off? I don't know.
just sort of like, yeah? Did they get dropped off? I don't remember.
No, I think
anymore.
they got. She did say in time because I just watched those two in preparation for this. She does say something along the lines of find somewhere in the 20th century to kind of keep to yourself.
Oh,
So they probably
okay.
presumably are just, or 21st they're probably just hanging.
Yeah.
Slinging chips. Maybe they got shot by the Daleks in an ironic twist of fate.
That would be quite something. Or maybe they just decided to just maybe they're in this. Maybe they went off to join Torchwood. Who knows?
Could be. They could be the
Yeah.
new Torchwood.
Yeah, I do like the
21st century
Torchwood
is
still
when it all
going around.
changes.
Hey, it's all changing. It's all changing right now.
I did find it a little weird that so when Jack and Yaz are having their talk, Yaz's seeming disbelief that Jack is from the 51st century, like she's been places, she's seen things.
Yeah, exactly.
How is it that much of a
Exactly,
stretch
in
that
fact.
somebody's from 300 or 30 centuries in the future?
I don't know.
No?
Well, I mean, the fact that perhaps she meets him in her time, if she goes flying off to nowhere, like outer space or something, like it's a little less weird. But perhaps here she thinks, really, 51st century. It's also a way of saying that Jack is from the 51st century initially.
As a reminder, yeah.
Like we're nerds. We've watched this show a lot, but as I said before, Captain Jack hasn't been in Doctor Who since
For years and years and years.
apart from a cameo at the end of David Tennant's era, like series 3. That's it, So it's there isn't a lot, or maybe Journey's End, I guess. But yeah, it's been there for a while. 12 years. 12 years since Journey's End, everyone. It's been a long time. That's kind of like, watching, I don't know, Attack of the Cybermen and expecting to know what the hell happened in Tomb of the Cybermen to really understand what's going on,
Well, in fact, they do that. They do that very thing in Attack of the
I
Cybermen.
know they do. That's what
the
I mean.
joke.
That's the joke. Well
All
done,
right,
Chris.
I'm a little slow.
A little bit slow. Still, you are 50 years old now, Warren. We have to slow things down for you a little bit
Derp and
here.
indeed derp.
Yes,
Not to be
we'll speak up and more slowly.
Yeah. Okay. Are we done about the actual proper
I think so, yeah.
title sequence to title sequence? Of course, pre-title sequence as well. So at the end,
The
of
credits were
this-
longer than 30 seconds.
Were they really? I didn't actually
think so.
notice that.
It's like 40.
Maybe they can get away with longer for a New Year's Day special, perhaps. I'm not too sure. But, Graham and Ryan head off. Lovely final scene. I like that it focused on them as opposed to I like that the Doctor and Yaz were like sad in the TARDIS, and that's our last time of seeing them. They're sad, and then it ends there, and then it's Ryan and Graham on the bike, plotting the course on their own spin-off series. And I'm thinking, hey, look at this. We are going to have now for the next series of Doctor Who a all-female led duo in Doctor Who. No. John Bishop is joining the TARDIS team, and the trailer happened. So please excuse my Canadian ignorance, everyone. So the thing happens because the on the BBC version there was like this, hey, stay tuned after the credits for a special teaser. And it's like, this
voiceover at the end, yeah.
yeah. And so this thing happened. I thought, is this it? Is this his voiceover? Or is this just EastEnders? I can't tell. There was no drums. I should have known that it wasn't EastEnders. But and all of a sudden they get this thing, and they're like, here's this box. This person turns around and says, and introducing John Bishop. And
Well, actually, I thought it was a character's name at first.
I thought it was the character. When I first looked at it, I thought, is that you, Grant?
I thought that too, and I also thought at first, right before that, is that Eric Roberts? Are they bringing back the Eric Roberts master?
I don't know. I listen.
He does look a lot like Hugh Grant.
I don't know who he is. I am proud. I'm not proud. I'm happy that at least Neil Perriman, I saw he posted elsewhere. I have no idea who John Bishop is either. I had to Google him immediately.
I definitely did. Yeah, I had no clue.
Because he hasn't quite floated into our sphere of influence here in Western Canada. You understand? But he's got like 3.5 million followers on Twitter. He's a comedian. He's a former footballer. Apparently, played for Liverpool. This is just literally me doing all the research. And
he's from Liverpool.
He's from Liverpool.
So if he gets to use his natural accent, then you'll be happy with that, Stephen, because you seem to like the Scouts or the Liverpudlian accent.
I do like it a lot. We've had two Liverpudlian cowards in Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen on Doctor Who, and neither have used their accent. So. And perhaps notably is that John Bishop, as of a week ago, Christmas Day, he announced that he has in fact been diagnosed positive with COVID-19 because we're still in that, folks. Apparently,
hopefully
it is
not
not
gotten on set. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Doctor Who's sort of been on break since well enough apparently before he got it, and it shouldn't. Hopefully, I hope he's okay. Obviously. But he posted on his Instagram about how an awful experience it is, and I can only imagine what it's like, and I hope to only have to imagine what it's like. But they are getting better, and he says he promised that he would be ready to return to work in January. So that's the good news, and I hope that obviously this doesn't affect shooting, but also it doesn't affect the health of the people working on Doctor Who as well, because with COVID being COVID the way it is, one illness amongst an entire production group can be very hazardous for everyone who works on that production group, and everyone have to quarantine and everything. And, so I hope he's better and stuff. But yes, I did have to Google you because John Bishop sounds like a Doctor Who character name, Warren. You're
totally
right.
Does. It sounds like an American cop name is what it sounds
a little bit. John Bishop. In
from
color.
The 80s, maybe the 90s.
Yeah, like Hunter, like he was a special guest character, a backdoor pilot on an episode of Hunter back in the day.
But they're just shorten it to Bishop.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to judge before seeing literally anything apart from that brief teaser, but I have to say
if you can even call it even a teaser.
Even a teaser, it's an introduction thing. I am a wee bit disappointed in the fact that we're basically replacing Graham with Graham. A mid-50s white guy,
yeah, exactly.
to sort of to fulfill that role. And I was kind of thinking, goodness, Doctor Who is being remarkably bold and out there, sadly, to have just an all-female-led science fiction show. But we won't have that. I suppose we'll have to see how this.
You gotta have something for the moms, Stephen. Come on. After the sewing results, you need something for the moms.
Sewing results, goodness me.
What now?
Yes.
It's play on the football results.
He's making a reference. It's a joke, Warren. It's a joke.
It's a joke.
Who am I? Who am I, in fact?
Warren, Chris, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Glad somebody did.
All good. Yeah. So yes, he is returned. I mean, I think apparently he had been cited filming some stuff in public for Doctor Who recently. So I haven't looked at that. The footage that I alluded to a week or two ago about having watched just to see how they were filming it. He was not involved in said footage, so so I didn't see it there. But there apparently has been other stuff that he was seeing. So I mean, apart from that, though, it was well kept under wraps. It was a bit of a surprise for everyone.
There's a difference between exterior footage being, on the sly recorded by set reporters or people passing by or whatever. There's a difference between just that and actually having context and knowing who the characters are, or even who the actors are, right? And knowing that there's a correlation that that's the new companion.
Yeah.
So it doesn't much matter if he was seen recording, because it doesn't mean you're going to know who he is.
No, I mean, he's even wearing similar, the photo that the BBC press put. Is he wearing Graham's jacket? I mean, is he just regenerated from Graham? Is that what this is? It's
every man of a certain age in England has issued that jacket.
I guess so. Yeah,
I'm hopeful that they realize that even though he's like a 50-something white guy, they don't have to have him play the same as Graham. He can be his own character,
and he may not be. We don't know,
because he Graham had Grace and Ryan, and maybe this guy has nobody, or maybe he's, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential for obviously, and I'm sure that there's smart enough not to have Graham version 2. That they'll make him, they'll make this Dan guy his own thing.
You think so? I mean, Dan is a very bland name. No offense to all the Dans out there. That's true. But yeah, I maybe he'll become like, Harry Sullivan in season 12, and that they'll write him in thinking, we need this guy. We need a guy in there for whatever reason. And halfway through the season, you kind of like, well, we are running out of things to do with this new character. We're just going to write him at the end of it. I don't know. We'll see what the deal is. But I mean, as with all new companions, I'm always intrigued to see how they come into contact with the Doctor. Like, how do their lives intertwine? It seemed natural to have the 3-person TARDIS that we just had, because they were all sort of known to each other at some point in their lives.
If
this
Dan
Dan
fellow
fellow
in a convoluted way, but
yeah, like, how will this happen? Like, he just seems like an average bloke, so to speak, delivery driver kind of fellow.
builder, I thought.
A builder was okay.
That's
Here's
the
the thing,
impression
though.
I got.
We said
Yeah.
most of the same stuff about Graham before he showed up, and we all loved Graham. So
Yeah.
who knows? We could love this guy too, or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've learned enough over the years to, whenever a pop star like Billy Piper or like a variety host like Bradley Walsh get cast on the show. Catherine Tate, all 3 were excellent on the show as actors. And so I have, it says comedian John Bishop, like that's his claim to fame. That's his one thing. I am, of course, going to have to start scouring the YouTube to find bits of his act and other performances and stuff to get a gist of what he's going to be on Doctor Who, perhaps. But that might just be completely nothing. John Pertwee was a comedic actor before he was cast in Doctor Who and went completely straight for it. Completely straight, especially early on.
Did a completely different setup than he
Exactly. Actors and
most
comedians
of them have, really.
Yeah.
And Troughton wanted to do blackface.
Oh, we try to forget about that, but yeah.
I wish Chris was joking about that one, but
yeah, not as much. So it's nothing to disparage John Bishop. I'm sure that it would be amazing in any of our lives to sort of think, hey, guess what? You're in Doctor Who now. I mean, the role was basically written for him apparently and offered to him. It's been in the works since before the pandemic, so. Yeah, this is a thing that's going to happen in Series 13 whenever it comes by. That basically they are going to. Chris Chibnall said in Entertainment Weekly that when they finish is when it will air. Essentially, there's no definite timeline for it to finish, but when it does, we're back to a 3-person TARDIS with John Bishop. So there we go. Is that it? Is that it for the episode proper? Is there anything else you two cats
we
want
talked
to mention?
about the soundtrack. The Blu-ray is up for pre-order in Canada.
Yeah, March 2nd in Canada. I pre-ordered it. I also bought it on iTunes because it was actually available. Because I remember, was it last series? It wasn't showing up on iTunes, certainly in Canada.
Resolution took a long time to show up on. Yeah,
that too, and like Spyfall, it took like a day or two for it to show up on that. And just as an aside, it took like at least a day, if not more, for the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery to show up on Crave. Just putting that out there, Crave. Maybe you could update your website so you could have the Star Trek episodes appear when they should be. But anyway, Canada. So yeah, March 2nd you can get the Blu-ray, and which means I will have like 4 different Blu-rays. I've lost track already. I've got one for Series 11, Resolution, Series 12, Revolution of the Daleks. It's a lot of Blu-rays.
I'm just looking at iTunes here, and I search Revolution of the Daleks, and I get no results.
Interesting. Did you type in Revelation of the Daleks by mistake?
No.
Well, I pre-ordered it. I'm just saying.
The digital copy, okay.
Yeah. As I said, we were recording this before the overnight figures came out, so we won't have that. But we do have our incredibly scientific Twitter poll that we did for this, with the 4 choices being loved it, liked it, it was okay, wasn't for me. 33.9% loved it. which is lower than some of the episodes from Series 12. I know that, Fugitive the June, it's like 85%. It's a huge amount. 27.3% said they liked it. 23.1% said it was okay. And 15.8% said it wasn't for me. That's out of 1,092 votes on our little poll there. So there's the informal straw poll on twitter.com/Radio Free Skaro. That's that.
Yeah.
Man, that's what you're reduced to.
Not for everyone, I guess. I enjoyed it. I'm glad that all three of us enjoyed it. I'm glad that I know Kat enjoyed it. I get the impression Erica did.
She did.
And Warnie said Jenny was watching it again.
Yeah, she enjoyed it.
That bodes well.
I think so.
In a way. So, I've avoided everything. I haven't even looked at what remarks have been made on our Facebook page or anything like that. And I'm staying away from all that until after we finish recording at the very least. Mm-hmm. And so I know some will like it. I know some won't, and that's what it is. I
think there were a little more negative comments on the Facebook page. We don't have the poll because there's no poll on Facebook. Yeah, the people who wish to comment were a little more negative about it, but.
Yeah, I mean, quite often those who have a negative opinion are going to be more vocal about it.
That's true.
That's just how it tends to go for all walks of whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We all three liked it. Your opinion may vary. Take that as it is right there.
It's still new Doctor Who, darn it.
It's still new Doctor Who, and it's not 2020 anymore, and that's great. So I'm pretty happy.
Two very good points.
Very good points. Let's talk about some other things before we get the hell out of here. There's a big thing in the Telegraph behind a paywall. I had a free thing for the paywall. I had a free trial for the Telegraph, and I canceled it. And now I regret it because I wanted to read this. It's about Lee Binding, who is an artist who does a lot of different art and stuff. But of course, we would know him best as the one who does the artwork for the Doctor Who classic series Blu-rays, which are amazing.
They're very good. Yes,
adore those artworks on there. So. There's a big thing, link in the show notes if you want to read it, and if you have a Telegraph thing, although somebody has sort of transcribed it and posted it on this dodgy blog. But
so I'm going to have both links in the show notes, so you don't have to go through the paywall if you choose not to.
But gird your eyes, because it ain't pretty.
Yeah,
the formatting is quite ugly.
Yes. Also, support journalism when you can.
Yes, please do that.
Yes. as a journalist.
The future of journalism, print newspapers.
Yeah, Sarah Jane was a journalist, damn it. Let's talk about some stuff. The Big Chief Studios, the ones that make those big 1/6 scale Doctors Who and Master Who, not really a name. They are making a K9 Mark II, Series 18 K9 1/6 action figure to match all those Doctors Who.
What is the atrocious and highly justifiable price?
Yes, £149 for a bit of it takes skill to make these. Although, admittedly, making a K9,
they're amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it is a lot easier than making a Doctor. Because
doing a face,
or
hands,
or that right, yeah. It's just a robot, and you look at him. That's the dog. That's the damn dog right there. You can get your own. So.
I appreciate how it has a so-called light-up speaker. Asterisk note: speaker emits light only, no sound.
Oh,
is that
really any different than the show though?
Doesn't actually speak, sadly. John Leeson does not do the voice, nor did they scour archive clips of the late David Brierley to do clips for it either. So no, doesn't do that. Alas, but
it has a pull-out sensory probe though.
That's cool. Pretty neat.
Movable gravitational feedback antennae.
Is that what they're called? We call them ears.
No, that's the antenna. Sorry, it should say antenna, but it says antennae plural, and then it says tail.
Tail.
The only sound it should make is just a grinding sound of gears from a canine driving across the floor.
Yes, and Matt Irvine swearing when it runs into a camera or something like that,
and exploding sounds when it goes into the water.
Yes, perhaps if Andrew Smith is writing, it'll just be like Bill Fraser from Meglos kicking it repeatedly or something like that. But I also want to mention too, just because I saw it on being retweeted across on Twitter, and I never mentioned it at the time, but Barnaby Edwards and Nicholas Pegg were back in the Dalek suits for the first time in a long time. They had not been Dalek operators for a while, so that was kind of cool.
There was no person inside the one in Resolution. It was remote control. So.
That's true, but I think it's been a while.
So we haven't had Daleks.
John Davy is in this one. I saw.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's an operator in this one. Yeah.
And
he was Sycorax in the prison.
I mean, yes, but I mean, Edwards and Pegg are the Dalek operators.
I know they're the OG guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a person inside Rusty in Twice Upon a Time?
Yes, but I don't think it was either of Messrs. Pegg and Edwards, though. So.
Is that what? Because I'm trying to think of when the last time they would be then, like Series 9 for. Which is familiar, or
I think it's probably it. Yeah, and that was decades ago now. So
it's 2015, right?
Yeah, a long time.
Back when you could breathe the same air as other people.
Halcyon
day.
Those were the days. Golly. Anyway, K9 comes out March 22nd, 2022 from Big Chief. Also, was this news dropped, of course, very shortly after the New Year's special. Big Finish. Captain Jack returns to Torchwood in Absent Friends, reuniting with, get this, David Tennant as TV's Doctor Who for a Big Finish thing. So that is cool. Torchwood Absent Friends coming May of 2021. This, again, in keeping with the David Tennant is in lockdown and loves to do work, and so he is doing a ton of stuff, and kudos to him. Big Finish loves him because now he's doing this with
good for him.
Torchwood. It felt weird because I watched the trailer. It's like, that's a Torchwood logo and the Doctor's involved. And I'm thinking, usually back when RTD was sort of like involved, he's thinking, never shall the two meet. Like Torchwood can come to Doctor Who, but not the other way because there's
that's because Torchwood was post-Watershed, an adult show, all that kind of stuff. So the Doctor had the Doctor shown up in Torchwood. The expectation is the kids would want to watch Torchwood, and it's not for children.
No.
Even though sometimes
are the Torchwood audios anywhere near as Randy, A, and B, if you're going to have a Doctor Who show up in Torchwood, it probably should be Tennant.
Yeah. I don't think that it's, I mean, I admit I haven't listened to the Torchwood stuff from Big Finish, but if you're going to have David Tennant as Doctor Who in there, I don't think it's going to be the Randy.
No, I don't think so either.
Certainly the
Torchwood wasn't really that after a while.
No, not really. Yeah, it's sort of matured a little bit, so I think that's probably what we'll get. Anyway, you can pre-order it. Torchwood Absent Friends due for release in May 2021 as download and CD. So y'all do that. Links in the show notes at radiofreescaro.com. And we end this episode here of Radio Free Skaro with a couple of sad passings, alas. Philip Martin, writer of Vengeance on Varos and Mind Warp, also did Mission to Magnus for the aborted season 23, passed away at the age of 82. Philip Martin was on a live show back when Gallifrey won 2018, I want to say.
I think so. That sounds about right.
Was just amazingly kind. Of course, he was famous for creating the show Gangsters, which is a bonkers crazy show from the mid 70s that the Tachyon TV fellows got me hooked on, and I'm a fan of it. And when we introduced the segment, it was Philip Martin and a couple other people. I'm sorry, when you do enough live shows, they start to blend together a little bit. Stephen Wyatt was on. That's right.
I forget who the third one was.
Andrew Cartmel, wasn't it? I think it would have been Andrew Cartmel.
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah, it was Behind the Magic. Anyway, it was on. Anyway, I decided because, I try and squeeze in the Gangsters theme whenever I can regarding this podcast, mostly as an homage to Tachyon TV, let's face it. And so when they introduced the Gangsters theme, started playing, and Philip Martin comes up to me before he says, "Is that the Gangsters theme?" I says, "Yes, it is the Gangsters theme." You recognized it immediately. And I courted him later on in the week, in the weekend at Gallifrey 1 to talk to him expressly about Gangsters and Star Cops. He wrote an episode or two of Star Cops as well. It was just so nice to talk to. And, such a writing talent, and it was very sad. I was very taken aback by that. The fact when he passed away, news of his passing came like literally half an hour after our episode last week came out. But there was a lot of love on Twitter for him, and yeah.
And he had passed a couple of weeks prior, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think his funeral actually had been like the day before. Keith Barnfather broke the news on Facebook on like Christmas Eve, I think it was. So yeah, that was very sad. And you know, because sadly, people who make our favorite show are getting on in years. And January 1st started with the news that Mark Eden has passed away at the age of 92. Mark Eden played the titular Marco Polo in the iconic 7-part story from 1964. Of course, he played Donald. Did you play Donald Baverstock in Adventure in Space and Time? As a person who said kill Doctor Who. So he passed away at the age of 9. He'd been suffering from Alzheimer's for a while, sadly. And oddly enough, him and Darren Nesbitt, who he appeared with in Marco Polo, also appeared in an episode of The Prisoner back in 1967 too. But a long career.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, long career.
I never knew he was married to Sue Nichols, though.
Who is Sue Nichols?
She plays Audrey on Coronation Street and has done for decades.
Right.
I never knew that they were married.
Yeah. So that was sad. That was sad news to wake up to. So our condolences to the friends and family of those fine two people who contributed very large bodies of work to Doctor Who. If you want the full recap, Toby Haydock has, as always, has done a video recap of all the people from Doctor Who we lost in 2020, and he's also as of this will go out just as it's been broadcast on BBC Radio 4 Extra. Absent Friends, The Seventh Dimension is what it's called, where he remembers the performers and producers and writers from the world of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy whom he lost in 2020. It's a little 15-minute extra thing on BBC 4 Extra. So that too. The video is worth watching, and the audio, I'm sure, will be worth listening to as well, as we fondly remember those who we lost in 2020 and look ahead to 2021. A year of hope, gentlemen, perhaps. Maybe not of much Doctor Who until the fall. Yeah, the odd thing is that, you know, they're having to make Doctor Who amidst the pandemic, but with vaccines sort of being gradually jabbed into people's arms and stuff. But by the time we get a new series of Doctor Who, we might well be vaccinated as a nation in Canada, hopefully, and maybe in many other parts of the world too. So I'm kind of looking forward to the idea of a new season of Doctor Who sort of coming along side by side with renewed hope for science and humanity. Is that too much to ask in 2021?
No, but possibly yes.
Possibly. All right. Well, that's it. That's it for this sole episode of the podcast. Unless either you cats have anything. I mean, we haven't reviewed an episode in like 10 months, so I just want to make sure that no. Okay.
I'm sure we forgot lots of stuff that we want to talk about, but well, it is what it is.
Yeah, there'll be a commentary.
We have months and months to go before we have more new stuff to talk about.
Exactly. So. We'll do a commentary for this episode later on this year. It'll all be fun.
Sure.
To get to talk about anything that we forgot to talk about here. An enjoyable episode of Doctor Who to kick off 2021. Speaking of enjoyable episodes of Doctor Who to kick off 2021, boy, folks, if you thought the first 2 episodes of the Creature from the Pit commentary last week were good, well, next week we conclude our commentary for the epic story from season 17, The Creature from the Pit. So do stay tuned for that next week. It's been a pleasure, folks, to ring in the new year with you. We will speak to you next week. Until then, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro, subscribe to us on iTunes, and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.